Hi there. I am so excited to be here with Angela Watson, founder of the 40-Hour Workweek Club. Angela, I'm so excited to talk to you just about what the club is, how it can help, the impact that you've had on so many teachers. And anyways, I'll let you get started with an introduction of yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Shelly. I'm so glad that you suggested this. It was great to be able to catch up with you. Again, you and I have been friends for a long time, and
So
you've been
long.
here since the very beginning of 40 hours.
I was
So,
actually thinking this morning, I
yeah,
remember the conversation that we had when you were this was just an idea.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
it's
was
so
like,
exciting to see
like,
how it's grown. It's amazing.
yeah, I'm like, is this even going to work? Is this even going to be a thing that teachers want? Teachers definitely need
Yes,
this.
absolutely.
So that was back in 2015. So the course now has been running since then. We've helped more than 42,000 teachers have gone through the program
Amazing.
at this point. So, it's really, I think it's different than other things that are out there in that it's ongoing. And also that it's personal and professional development, because I think we have a lot of tools for teachers in terms of like, here's what to do with your students, and here's how to improve your teaching practice. But I think that a lot of how you approach your work as a teacher depends on who you are as a person. And we're not robots, we're not machines. Like, who we are influences the way we teach and what our values are, what we prioritize. And so I really like to blend personal and professional development to help teachers really be the best person they could be. And I feel like that's not work that you just is like a one and done. Like, here, just like read this one thing and now you're good.
Right.
I mean, even when I think about books that I read, I feel like it will be a life-changing thing, and I'll rave about it for like a month. I'll implement one or two ideas, and then like it just, it falls to the background.
Yes, I am so guilty of that as well.
Yes. So I felt like I wanted to make this ongoing. So, a lot of people want everything up front, but we don't do it that way, because I think that creates overwhelm and it keeps you from actually implementing the idea. So we just
Yeah.
go topic by topic. July is self-running classroom. August is sustainable systems. We spend a month on lesson planning, a month on grading. And the idea is that you're not trying to change everything in your teaching at once.
Right.
It's just way too much if you do it that way. So we go nice and slow, and it's all throughout the year, because what you need in the fall is different from what you need in the winter,
Yeah.
is what you need in the spring. So I try to just really think about how do we provide ongoing support? How do we make sure that we're there for teachers and continually just reinforcing these mindsets and these practices to create slow change over time? And it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those people who are not familiar with the 40-Hour Workweek Club, can you just give us a big overview kind of what is it?
Sure. So you get the resources in PDF and audio form. So you can either read or you can listen. It's up to you. And we have core concepts every month that are designed to take about 30 minutes. So if you can find 30 minutes in the month to either skim through the PDF or else to listen to the audio, you can get the main ideas for that topic. And then there's also 3 optional extension choices for each month. So you can go deeper on specific things. For example, in July, one of the optional extension choices is about planning your procedures for the first week of school. So if you want to really think about how to give kids ownership of the classroom and turn the responsibility for a lot of tasks over to them, then you can dive into those, that extension choice. And there's templates that you can use, first week of school lesson plans and all kinds of things like that. So it goes throughout the year just like that. And you don't have to submit anything. You don't have to show up for any live meetings. There's no deadlines. It really is all at your own pace.
Okay. And so new content is released each month, and then
Yes.
you can kind of work at your own pace throughout the month.
Correct. And you can come back to anything you skip. Some people are like, this is a really hectic month. I just don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Or, this topic just isn't as relevant for me right now. I really need to focus on these other things, because you never lose access. So even after the year is up, you can work back through it. So we have teachers who
Okay.
are working through the program for the third, fourth, fifth time at this point, and just making
Wow.
small changes over the years.
And so when they never lose access, do they also get access to all the updates that you do? Because I know you do a lot of updates um,
We
to the
do,
club.
yes, we do update, and we did a big update last year right before COVID. That was planned anyways, and now I'm really glad on the
Yeah, no
timing on
kidding.
that. So you never lose access to your cohort's materials whenever you join. If you want to get updates, there is a graduate program where you can get the updates for life, and that also
Okay.
includes checklists and summaries, key mindsets that make it easy to work back through the materials the second or third time.
Okay, awesome. So who would you say the club is for? Who is it not for?
It's designed for any K-12 teacher.
Okay.
And we have basically anybody that you can imagine, any teaching context within those parameters are in there. Um, we do have special educators, we have music teachers, we have PE teachers, all different kinds of things, kindergarten, all the way up through
Yeah.
grade 12, because what we're doing is not really providing a formula. It's really a collection of materials, and you pick and choose what works for you. And I
Okay.
like having a variety of strategies in there because, there are things sometimes that teachers of older kids do that maybe teachers of younger kids never really heard about. They hadn't really thought about, like, oh yeah, my kids could do that. And vice versa. There are some things, for example, classroom jobs that we associate with elementary classrooms, but middle and high school teachers get great results with that. I mean, older kids don't want to just sit there all day long either. They want to be able to do something. They want to be in charge of something. They want to have some power and control.
Sure.
So classroom jobs really work for secondary level too. So we just provide lots of different options, and you can pick and choose whatever works for your teaching context.
Okay. And so who would you say this club is not for then? If there were, is there a specific type of teacher or person that this club would not be well suited to, or is it pretty broad in terms of who it can help?
Um, I don't recommend it for pre-K teachers.
Okay.
It's a different workload even than kindergarten. So if you teach below K, I would say no. We have college professors ask a lot. It would not help with that.
Okay.
Um,
So basically K to 12 is the focus.
Pretty much, yeah. And again, it's certain materials are going to be more relevant than others,
Yeah,
and you just pick and choose.
absolutely. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the goals. I know some people hear the name of the club and they assume that the goal is going to be to work a 40-hour work week. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people hear 40 and they're like, wait, I could never work 40 hours a week. And the good news is you don't have to. The number 40 really comes from the amount of hours that the typical teacher is contracted to work. So your contractual hours are 40, sometimes less. I was only contractually obligated to work 37.5 hours a week,
Yeah,
which is ridiculous because nobody works 37.5
no
hours
kidding.
a week.
No kidding.
So the program is really designed to help you maximize those contractual work hours, the hours you are getting paid for, so that you're not working endlessly for free on your nights and weekends. So, how
Okay.
can we figure out what really moves the needle for kids, get the majority of those tasks done during the contractual work week, and then you have more free time for yourself? So, each member who joins picks their own target number, and it can change from week to week. It's not like you set it in stone and that's what you have to do. You look at your responsibilities for the upcoming week and you say, well, report cards are due. I have this extra meeting, this committee. So maybe my target number this week is going to be 55 hours.
Sure.
For a lot of teachers, that's a major improvement on what they're currently working.
Yeah.
So it's about being really intentional with your time and saying, okay, I'm going to stay 3 hours late on this day. I'm going to go in 2 hours early on this day. And here's what I'm going to get done during that time. So
Yeah.
you're not just working on whatever pops into your mind. You've already identified your priorities and you said, Tuesday morning, I'm going in early, I'm doing this. Wednesday, I'm staying late and I'm doing this. And then that ensures that you're setting boundaries on how many hours you're working and not just staying until it's all done, because it's never all going to be done.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Um, that kind of brings me to, what I've heard from members and what I've read on your reviews page. Like, these are not just small little transformations that people are experiencing. They're literally life changing in a lot of cases. Do you have any favorite stories from members or past members about just the impact that this has made for them?
Yeah, it's so interesting to read teacher stories because I think most people don't go into the program thinking that it's going to be a life
Right.
changer.
Right.
And they don't realize that, like, having those extra hours a week really can make a big impact. So like the typical teacher starts off working 62 hours a week. That's the average when they join, and they're down to 51 by the end. So that's 11 extra hours a
Yeah.
week.
What a huge
And
difference.
yeah, it really makes a big difference if you think about what would I do with those extra 11 hours. And I think probably, like, I've heard a lot of sweet stories and touching stories, but I think honestly the ones that really get me the most are like a little bittersweet. And
Yeah.
those are the ones who have said, we had a tragedy in our lives. My elderly parent, slipped and fell or got dementia, or my spouse, had this diagnosis, or, I went through a miscarriage. There's a lot of, stuff that happens. And they said, because of this program, I was able to be present with my loved ones. I was able to be present with my family. You know, I had X amount of time left with them before they were gone. And I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I was letting my students down. I had procedures in place that kept my classroom running when I couldn't really be present. So
Yeah.
my students' education didn't suffer and I didn't feel like I needed to be there. Like I actually had that gift of time with the people who mattered to me. And those are the stories that really gets to me because there's just nothing worse than feeling like you don't have time for the people that you care about. You're
No.
always in this perpetual feeling torn. Like if I am with my family, I'm neglecting students. If I'm with my
Yeah.
students, I'm neglecting family. So when I hear teachers who are like, I'm able to be with the people that I care about apart from work,
Yeah.
that is like, that's everything.
I bet that gives me goosebumps just listening to you say that. I know
Yeah.
I've heard, well, I've seen in a lot of Facebook groups that I'm in, just different teacher Facebook groups, I've seen the club recommended a lot. And so many people talk about that they're just close to being burnt out, close to leaving the profession. And then they do the 40-hour and it transforms everything for them. It's amazing.
Mhm.
You've built this amazing club, Angela.
It's really cool to see.
Yeah. Is there any one thing that stands out among your members, as the biggest thing that they struggle with? Or is there a range of struggles that members come into the club with?
It's been it's been cool to see all of the different reasons that people join the club. Some people join because they're new and they're completely overwhelmed. A lot more people join because they're veteran teachers and the profession has changed a lot.
Yeah,
You know, I started teaching in 1999 and that is not the same field that we have now.
right.
You know, like it just seems like every 2 to 3 years the expectations change, the curriculum changes. So there's a lot of people who are like, I'm good at what I do, but this is not what I signed up to do, and I need to find ways to navigate it. Other people feel like they need help with organization or time management. I feel like the main sort of overcurrent that kind of everyone can relate to is that feeling of never having done enough,
Yeah,
a feeling like no matter how hard they work or how many hours they put in, there's still something else expected of them, or they could have done more, they should have done more. And this feeling that like I need to work 24/7 in order to get all my students to where they need to be, and I can't work 24/7.
yeah,
So, how do I stop feeling guilty? How do I figure out what's most important and put my time and energy there? And how do I work more efficiently? How do I get more done in less time? So, I feel like that's sort of the common undercurrent is wanting to feel like you're actually successful as a teacher. Like
yeah.
I feel like everyone who joins is a person who cares about teaching. If you don't care about being a good teacher, you don't need this program. You
That's right.
just sit at your desk and read the newspaper, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways to cut corners if you don't care about being a good teacher. So these are folks who really want to do a great job for kids, but they're like, I cannot meet all of these expectations on me.
Yeah.
Help me find a way to streamline.
Yeah. I did a giveaway for you and had people
Mhm.
answer the question, why do you want to join the club? And there was about 500 responses. I always read through all of them because it's actually one of my favorite tasks that I do all year long, quite honestly, because some of the reasons are, well,
Touching. Yes,
they
touching.
are. They are. And so many people, a common theme that I saw among people was this feeling of never having done enough, like you said, but not only at school, but at home too. So they're like the juggle between school and family and just a feeling of not being able to handle it and just being completely overwhelmed.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Um, yeah. So I had people submit some questions for
Mhm.
you. And so I'll just go through those quickly. First one, is the content of the club location specific? So this person just wanted to make sure it was relevant to her curriculum. She teaches in Canada, but I know you've got students from all over the world. So can you just speak to that as to the location piece?
Sure. So about 10% of our members teach internationally. Obviously, I am an American. It's designed for American teachers. Of that 10%, I think around 5% are from Canada, about 2 to 3% are from the UK, and then the other 2 to 4% are from other countries, primarily in Europe, some in Asia. And then like a sprinkling of people from all different places
Yeah.
all over the world. From what I hear from Canadian teachers specifically, is that there's a huge overlap. They've not seen anything that didn't really apply. Our school systems are very similar, and the club is not geared toward any set of curriculum or standards. So you don't have to worry about us, we're not mentioning Common Core or anything like that that wouldn't be applicable to international teachers. We're talking about stuff that teachers pretty much face all over the world, which is staying organized, responding to email, planning lessons, grading papers, and there's best practices that I think apply no matter where you teach.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's great. Another one, I'm worried I won't have enough time to be able to keep up with the club. I'm in survival mode as it is.
Yes, and that's a big one because if you weren't busy, you wouldn't need a
Right,
program like
right.
this. So I think the best thing to think about there is number one, you don't have to do it all. And number two, you don't have to do it all right away. So as I mentioned about the core concepts,
Yeah.
I've identified the most important thing for that month's topic. So if the topic is, for example, there's one month on maximizing instructional time, like how do you cut out time wasters with your students? I've condensed all the most important ideas in that one PDF that takes about 30 minutes to listen to, less, depending on how fast you read, probably a little less, but I would still set aside that 30 minutes per month for that one topic.
Okay, and
And there
that's
may
pretty
not,
minimal.
it is. And the thing is, I think people feel like I have to sit down and study it like a course. And then I have all these ideas I need to implement. But a lot of it really is mindset shifts. And a lot of it is stuff that you're going to let go of rather than stuff that you're doing. So, for example, maybe you're taking too many grades. Maybe you're grading every part of an essay instead of, just looking for this one specific thing. There's lots of things that actually you'll learn to stop doing. So it actually saves you time. And it's not like, okay, now I heard this and now I have to go spend 5 hours, setting up this whole system. It may just be like, wow, okay, so I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to switch this out for this, and I'm going to implement this into my lesson tomorrow. And just those things alone can, trim an hour or so off your week right away.
Sure. Well, and I guess you mentioned too that the average teacher is saving 11 hours
Yeah.
per week, right? When they
Mhm.
start your club. So, I mean, there's easily enough time to get through the materials there, I guess. And like you said, you can
Mhm.
dive as deep as you want to, right? With how you've set it up with the core concepts. You can,
Exactly. And if
yeah,
you want to do more, we've got the extension choices and you can
yeah,
come back to them anytime, even after your year is up.
yeah. That's a great way to have it set up.
Mhm.
What about COVID? How has, of course, depending on the state or the province or the country you're from, COVID restrictions are different everywhere. How is your club content evolved with COVID? And will it
That
still be suitable?
Right. That was such a tough one. Oh my gosh, last summer, like I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know what I'm going to do because it seemed like from month to month, it was impossible to predict, right? Like it
Yeah,
seemed like in April or May, we were going to have it under control. And then by July, I was like, well, we are not reopening. It was
right.
crazy.
Yeah,
So what I ended up deciding to do was keep the materials based on in-person learning, because I think that's the basis of the way most of us are going to eventually be teaching.
yeah.
So I didn't alter that too much. What I did instead was add remote and hybrid bonuses.
Okay,
So, I mentioned that there's first week of school lesson plans that are included. There's also a remote hybrid bonus for if you're teaching in a virtual setting. So
okay.
you just pick the one that you use. And I really think that's been a great approach because there's been so many changes. There are people who thought
Yeah,
they would be in person and then it switched, and then, they're in person again. And then, oh, now there's an outbreak and we're closed for 2 weeks. So
right.
you really have the ability to go back through and be flexible. Whatever comes
Sure.
up this school year, all the materials are there and it's really clearly organized. So you know what's what. You're not sifting through a whole bunch of stuff that isn't relevant to you.
Okay. So yeah, despite all the unknowns, then there is still something for every situation, basically.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Um, Important dates for, I know you only launch the club once per year, this time of year every year. So what are the important dates that people who want to join should be mindful of for this year?
That's right. It's once a year because it is that year-long program. It starts in July and it goes through the following June. So we have that ongoing support. So
Yeah.
if you join it during the month of June, you're joining early. And you get early bird bonuses. Those are designed to help you maximize your summer. So in June, a lot of times teachers are like, I don't even want to think about school. I am not ready for back to
Yeah.
school. Some schools aren't even out in New
Right.
York. They don't even let out till almost July. So
Yes.
the
Yeah.
June early bird bonuses are all about how to maximize your summer, how to get organized at home, how to have time for everything that matters to you, how to carve out time to rest.
Yeah.
and just really feel like you're coming back in the fall re-energized. So if you join during the month of June, you get those early bird bonuses about summer.
Okay.
And then the program kicks off July 1st.
Okay.
That's when we begin with our back to school materials, which again, you can start whenever you want. Some people won't start until Labor Day. They don't even look at
Sure.
the materials until then because they want to
Yeah.
take their summer and enjoy it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to start right away. You just need to enroll by July 15th. That's the cutoff
That's the
because we
cutoff.
want to get everyone in there for the cohort together.
Okay. Perfect.
Mhm.
That's all the questions I have for you. I
Okay.
know there's a lot of people who are just on the fence, not sure whether to join or not. What do you say to those people who are on the fence and not sure whether to join this year?
Well, one thing that you may want to do is ask other teachers about it. If you go in, if you're in any teacher Facebook groups or message board forums, if you have social media, if you're connected to people, ask around and get opinions from other teachers. There's a lot of different groups online that are geared just for first grade or just for middle school science. And you can ask people who teach something similar to you. I feel like at this point, the people who are plugged in online to teacher communities, like everybody knows somebody who's going through this program at this
Sure.
point. So you
Yeah.
can ask around and also check out our reviews. We have a reviews page. There's over 600 reviews there, and you can search by keyword and look for teachers who are in similar contexts. And then I guess my best advice would be to check it out because we have a refund period in place. I say results are guaranteed in the sense that, like, if you get in there and you take a look around, you're like, this is not relevant to me. This is not helpful for me. I'm not going to make time to use this. You can get your money back up through September 15th. So
Okay.
that means you get to see all the June early bird bonuses, all the July materials, all the August materials, and all the September materials.
Okay.
That's a lot. You're going to know by that point if it's relevant to you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you just email us and say it just isn't a good fit or this isn't the right time, and we'll give you a full refund. So,
Okay.
once you get an idea see what other teachers think, and then take a leap, see what you think, and if it's not for you, then you've lost nothing. We've really tried to
Yeah,
make it pretty risk free for people.
perfect. That's perfect. Anything else that you wanted to add, or does that pretty much cover it?
Um, I think this is going to be an exciting year for the program because we are in such a transitional time now with moving toward a post-pandemic world and thinking about what do we want to bring back from pre-COVID times? What do we want to keep? What do we learn from this past year and a half that we want to keep
Yeah.
doing? And most importantly, what do we want to do going forward? How are we going to reimagine schools, which is the phrase that I feel like we keep
Yeah.
throwing out there, but it's not really happening. This is our moment to figure out how do we make teaching and learning sustainable for kids. So this year, not only do we have the teacher program, but we also have a 40-hour leadership program for administrators,
Right.
which
Okay.
is going to help shift expectations school-wide and create this school culture where we're all focused on productivity and well-being. And it's not just one teacher struggling on their own to push back. And we also have a 40-hour instructional coaching program too to help coaches manage their workload and support teachers. So I
Awesome.
am really optimistic about the future of education. I feel like we've learned a lot just as a society and as a culture about valuing workers, about not taking advantage of people, about compensating them for their time, for recognizing invisible labor, emotional labor, all of the work that goes into these important professions like teaching. So I think that we're hitting this new spot where we know that we have to do a better job by teachers in order to keep them in the profession. And I think 40-hour is going to be a great tool to help struggling teachers and give them the support they need, and to help our best teachers stay in the profession and find a sustainable way to do the job they love.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Angela. This has
Thank you,
answered
Shelley.
so many questions. I appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank
And
you for doing this.
yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Thanks.
All right. Bye bye.